Coach Jackie Zach, and I'm excited to have Andy Weins from Camel Crew with us today. My guest is also the owner of Green Up Solutions, an environmental consulting company, the host of Trash Talk, which I love the name of that podcast, a speaker, an author, and an Army veteran. On behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you so much for your service and all the things that you're doing for the environment. In your downtime, he enjoys playing volleyball. He's most proud of the fact that his 9-year-old daughter is a great human. Love that. And it is my pleasure to welcome Andy Weins to the show. Hey, Andy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Sure. We to be upfront and honest, we had a little technical difficulty, so we practiced and now we're back. So tell us a little bit about your personal story, where you were born, where you grew up, a little bit something about you.
Yeah, going back to 40 years now. I turned 40 this year. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, moved up to and grew up on the northwest side of Milwaukee, and then eventually Menominee Falls. I went to St. Anthony's grade school and then graduated from Menominee Falls High School. Shortly after graduating high school, a couple years later, I joined the military, volunteered to go to Iraq right away, spent a year overseas, came back home, spent a year being homeless and figuring life out. Eventually settled into working construction. And I worked for my father's company. I worked construction. I started doing junk removal on the side. And then I found myself in a spot where I knew I needed more. I was a 25-year-old combat veteran with really no tangible skills. So I started going to school at MATC, which led to Cardinal Stritch University. After I was, during the time I was still at Stritch, I deployed for a second time, this time to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And right before I left for Gitmo, my brother and I sat down at my mom and dad's kitchen table and said that when I come back home, we're starting a business. My goal was to never work for anybody else my entire life. I watched my father for 30 years run his own business. It never really saw him having a job necessarily. And I wanted to follow in those footsteps. So I deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, came back home. And in February of 2016, my brother and I started Green Up Solutions, which is an environmental consulting company. We bought into some franchises. We had 10 franchises from all over the country. At one point, we got out of the franchise world, sat through a 2-year non-compete, and 2 years ago in March of 2024 or 2022, I jumped back into junk removal full time. And so I've been running Camel Crew junk removal ever since. And I still do a little environmental consulting, podcasting, and other things under the Green Up Solutions brand.
Awesome. Excellent. So tell me a little funny story that your family tells about you, if you're willing to share.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Funny story. I have a lot of older cousins, and my grandparents had a dairy farm growing up, and my dad's first generation off the farm. And in the summers, my mom had 2 young kids and me running around. I'm older than my 2 younger brothers by quite a few years. So they would ship me off to the farm during the summer. And so when I was in the farm during the summer, throughout the summer, different cousins would stay at the farm. And I was there for the majority of the summer running around. And grandparents had about 400 acres. And, there's a lot of space as a 8-9-year-old to run around when you got 400 acres to work with. And my cousins will often tell the story at weddings and different times that they all watched me growing up, keep an eye on me. The one thing about me though was I would wear these same exact overalls, these like jean overalls, shorts. I would wear them morning, noon, and night every single day, and only them. So I'd be out there running around with my skivvies and overalls. Never wore a shirt. Never had a hat on or sunglasses. Never owned flip flops. I'd put barn boots on to go in the barn. Beyond that, whether it was running around in the manure or the swamp, the field, it's always barefoot. I had no care where in the world. And so now when they see me, I'm a business owner, an author, and an adult. Yeah. And so and often they still think of me as this, 8-year-old blonde kid with, perfect tan, because I'd run around all summer just doing my own thing.
Sure. Awesome. What a great story. I love it. It sets you up perfectly to be an entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned a little about how your business came up, but tell us a little bit more about how the business came to fruition. At what point did you have the confidence to go for it?
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. It started when I was 5-6 years old. My dad and I would drive around the nice neighborhoods the day before trash day and go through and find treasures. Like to me, that was normal growing up. Jumping in dumpsters, digging through people's trash. getting bikes and appliances and different things off the side of the road was my normal. I had grown up with stories of my great grandfather and how he owned a scrapyard, and recycling's in our blood. I got copper and brass running through my veins. So for me, being an entrepreneur has always been a burning desire. The
Mhm.
ember's always been in
Right.
me. And I went to high school, and I knew in sophomore year of high school I wasn't going to go to college. And so the guidance counselor gave up on me because in high school the most important metric to our school was number of graduating students that went on to a 4-year university. And
Sure.
so for me, entrepreneur was this long word I couldn't spell and meant I was unemployable. And and I went out in the real world, and I worked for big Fortune 500 companies like UPS and Best Buy, Black and Decker, and DeWalt Tools. I never found my home there. It was too much rules, too much structure. I worked
Right.
for small businesses like doing construction or working for my dad's buddies companies. And I realized in that case it wasn't systematic and thorough. There was right. It was they were really good at doing the thing, and they weren't great at running the business. And
Hmm.
I also joined the military. As of this month, I have 20 years of service with a couple
Wow.
deployments. And I've seen the lack of flexibility in the military. There's a hard and rigid way to do things, and yet there's no flexibility, and you got to follow the process. So all the while, I questioned these three different career paths, knowing that really none of them made sense to me as a totalitarian. Like, I can get behind this. This is why I was
Right.
put on this earth. And so then I convinced myself, oh, I'm going to start being an entrepreneur. This is back in 2009. And I never took that leap because I didn't have the education. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the business partner. I didn't have the money. And really, uh, what it came down to was I didn't need those things because
Hmm.
eventually I got all those things. I got the experience. I got a bachelor's degree, right? I worked for 7 years part time doing it. I got a bachelor's degree from Cardinal Stritch. I got my brother as a business partner. I had money from my last deployment to start funding the business. And once I took the leap, once I became a full time entrepreneur, it became blatantly obvious to me I didn't need those things all along.
Right.
What I needed was the confidence in myself, in my ability to learn, in my ability to figure it out and market and come up with pricing and sell and perform the job well, right? All I needed was the confidence. And now to this day, when I look back in my life and even in the moment, I say, okay, what am I lacking?
Yep.
And what do I need? And there's a logical, okay, what's the confidence or what is the experience I need? Okay, and how do I go get that experience? Oh, I need
Hmm.
funding. How do I get that funding? So it's not a prevention. It is a, okay, what do I need to do to break through that next ceiling? And once I have the confidence that I'll figure that out and I put the solutions in place, now the world is my oyster. Now I can take
Sure.
on anything.
Wow, that is awesome because confidence is a big thing for entrepreneurs, right? It's
Yep.
it's all of a sudden I want to do it, but I don't know how. And there's not a lot of security when you take that leap, but it's amazing. And congratulations to you for taking the leap. And here we are today, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about Camel Group.
So Camel Crew Junk Removal is a residential and commercial junk removal business here in Butler, Wisconsin. What's different from us and everybody else is we're locally owned. I'm the owner. I'm in the office every day. I'm working with the guys. I'm meeting customers. I'm meeting vendors. So we're very involved. And, a lot in the junk removal space, a lot of the players are franchises, and so they don't have the flexibility to make adjustments to meet the needs of the local consumer.
Hmm.
Or you get the Chuck and the trucks of the world where they
Yeah.
don't have the experience, they don't have the insurance, they don't have the professionalism to take on a lot of the commercial work that we end up taking on. So that's what
Right.
separates us really from the on the front end from a business standpoint. The other thing that separates us, which is more of the story, is the fact that we bring all the material back to our facility here in Butler and we sort the material, keeping about 80% of it out of the landfill. So traditional junk roll companies take out dump trucks, and that's what they do. They're paying guys to put stuff on a dump truck. It goes up to the hill, the landfill. They dump it out the back end. They pull forward. They close up the gate. They leave, and all the value, the recyclables, the things that can be reused or repurposed, all of that gets lost forever in the landfill. It gets smashed up, covered over, and the hill grows higher every day.
Right.
And so with us, our model is completely different. We load up box trucks, 24-foot box trucks. We bring them back to our facility. We teach our guys the importance of value of things. We teach them how to load and stack the trucks so that things don't get damaged in transport. And then we're able to reuse, repurpose, recycle all the material when it comes back here, which keeps about 80% of the landfill. And it allows us to be now members of the community because people in more disadvantaged situations end up getting furniture for free or at a low cost because we're donating it right to charities. People get appliances that are, used and yet refurbished through our partners here in Milwaukee that do that. So we keep all the value in the material by doing things in a different way. So we're solving the same problem. We're getting the
Right.
material out of your home or business, and yet the way we do it is completely different than everybody else.
I love that. It's almost coming full circle, right? I
100%. Yep.
love that. That is fabulous. So tell us the story of where someone pushed you or inspired you, so that you could do what you're doing, and what was the impact that it had on you?
Yeah, it's daily, and one things I'm working through right now. Actually, this is something I'm working through right now. So, Dr. Mothen Kandula, he's the founder and owner of Advent.
Yep.
They just they'll celebrate 20 years. He's in the same CEO peer-to-peer roundtable as me. And a couple months ago, we were talking about how much I hate the word junk.
Right.
And right, because I'm in the recycling world more than I'm in the waste world. And yet the SBA and the consumer looks at us as junk removal. That's what we do, right? It's a relatively new category. The junk removal category is only about 30 years old, which is
Mm-hmm.
new from an SBA perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about how much I hate the word junk. I don't like the name junk. I don't want to look at people's stuff as junk. If you look at our marketing, we never refer to people's things as junk. It's unwanted items or, possessions, never junk. And so I'm talking about this, and Dr. Kandula, I'm doing my presentation. He stops me. He goes, "Okay, hold on." He goes, "You hate the word junk." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "And your model is inherently different than everybody else." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay. Well, then get rid of the word junk." And then I start giving him excuses. Well, I can't because of this and this and this and this. He goes, "Well, then create a new category." So
Mm.
matter of fact.
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. He went from being an ENT to being an
Yes.
NT, right? He got or not to being, I'm sorry, NT. He got rid of the ears entirely. He doesn't even do ears. He hasn't done them in
Right.
15 years or whatever it is. And now he doesn't even brand himself as an ENT. He brands himself as the breathing triangle. He helps people breathe better. And
Yep.
now he's not arguing with other ENTs or dentists or people that give appliances in your face or the people that do sleep apnea because he's not
Right.
treating those things. He's not treating your ears, nose, or throat. He's allowing you to breathe better. And so
Right.
now that is the newest inspiration for me is how do I communicate to the customer that what we do is inherently different? And how do we brand that in a way where they can recognize the value and we create another category along the way, which will allow other companies currently doing junk removal to take the leap, to look at themselves as frontline recyclers, to look at a new industry as an opportunity and a possibility where we are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that keep the things out of the waste stream because we're recyclers before we're waste removal. And so
Right.
that's it's burning and it's there. And so that was only a few months ago and it's right there. And it's something I'm actively pursuing and researching and I'm gonna figure it out.
Awesome. That's fabulous. And I have been following both of you for a long time. So both you and Dr. Kandula, and it's amazing how things have evolved. And you're right. You are not a junk removal. It is all about recycling. It is all about repurposing. It is all about all those things. So what is your biggest learning as a business owner?
Oh, uh
So many, right?
yeah. I'll tell you what I struggle with the most from a learning, right? The greatest area of opportunity is understanding where people are and getting to them to see what I see. And
Mm,
where I've struggled with that is I was talking to someone earlier today about and it got brought up at lunch. So twice today I've had the same conversation with business leaders. And an area that we both struggle in is to us, there's so many things that there do not need to be said, right? Because it's inherent. And yet the average person doesn't have that general
right.
curiosity like we have. They don't have the
Right.
vision. So where I'm speaking at a certain level and I want to bring people up, I need to learn, hold on, meet people where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
relate it to what's relatable to them, what matter, right? What's in it for me? So what's in it for them? And then from there, I can get them to elevate their mindset to where I am and where we need to go. It does me
Mm-hmm.
no good yelling on the mountaintops when people are on the base and cannot hear me.
Right.
So it's my opportunity to teach them how to climb the mountain and meet them at the base. And so that's the area where I'm learning the most is to understand where people are and meet them there.
Right. And because that was going to be my next question is what's the biggest challenge? And who helped you get through that?
Oh, it takes a lot of people. I mean,
Right. Like a
I pay
village.
a lot of yeah, I pay a lot of smart people to tell me what to do.
Right.
Um, so it starts with my business coach, Mervyn Bird.
Yeah.
He's my Vistage chair, and he's been my coach for the last 4 years. My Vistage team, right? Because they struggle with the similar things.
Right.
My HR consultant, Blake, he's bridging the gap, right? Because he sees where I'm at, and he knows how to talk to the guys at the base of the mountain. So he's a listening point, right? And he can coach the guys up to get to a certain place where they understand where I'm coming from. And it's also our leadership team here and our guys here. They're consistently telling me, I'll ask them what every day. I want to see the guys, what'd you learn today? I
Right.
want to see what are they seeing? What are they learning? Because as much as I want them to see what's on the top of the mountain, I also need to understand what's at the base.
Right.
And so it is everybody I interact with, we have 3 values here at Camel Crew, and one of them is hungry. It's the desire to grow personally and professionally. So
Love it.
everybody here is expected to want to grow. And if you don't
Hmm.
want to grow, you're not allowed to work here. It's that simple.
Hmm.
And that's part with me, right? I learned years ago, for every mentor you have that's 10 years older than you, get one that's 10 years younger than you. And
Yep.
so it's no different here. For every Dr. Kandula and business coach, I need entry level junker specialist, day one guy teaching me what he's seeing out there.
Right. That's fabulous. So, I know you kind of mentioned all the people, right? If you had to pick 3 people in your business owner journey that you are most grateful for being there for your business growth, who are they? Is there anybody other than who you've mentioned already?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one is my mom and dad. My
Hmm.
parents, watching them run a business for years. So,
Right.
I already mentioned them. I mentioned my grandparents. I mentioned these other people. So, those are the very obvious ones. So, people not already mentioned that have had a great impact on me. I think about who is it I call when the chips are stacked against me? Who do I
Right.
call when I'm at my worst? Right? Who do I need to be at their best when I'm at my worst? And there's one gentleman, Michael Rampola. He's a business coach here in the local area. He's phenomenal. I talked to him this morning. He's the guy when I'm spiraling. He's the guy that is there to pick me up. Another one is Brad Herda. He's the guy that checks in on me from time to time.
Hmm.
Often as business owners, we struggle, and I know I struggle. Thinking, well, hey, nobody ever asks how I'm doing, right?
Right.
I ask how everyone else is doing. No one asks how I'm doing. And he's the guy that
Right.
asks me how I'm doing. And him and I are 2 very different skill sets and strengths. So when I'm looking at a problem, I will reach out to him for his perspective because he's a guy that can see my blind spots. There's no
Right.
doubt he sees it. And the third person is my buddy Casey down in Texas. He's my co-host on the Trash Talk Business podcast, a military veteran. So we've struggled through a lot of the same things. And he's the guy that can keep things real for me because he knows who I am. Deep down, we've shared our struggles. And
Hmm.
so when I tell him I'm up against something, he'll remind me who the fuck I am, how I got here,
You're
and where I'm
right.
going.
Right. Fabulous. So, what's the next big thing for your business? As you think about the next 1 to 3 years, what is the number one area of growth and development or challenge?
Rebranding into something that tells the consumer what we do will solve their
Mhm.
problem, and how we do it is unlike anybody else. And so that's a great opportunity because a lot of what I've done up until this point is very tactical. It's very in-house. This is an opportunity to go extremely strategic
Mhm.
and go nationwide, utilizing my platform, with the podcast, and the allies I have in the industry. Is how do we create the standards for a new industry that's more environmentally responsible, and what does that look like? So it's within the sphere of our business, right? I use Camel Crew as the testing lab to ensure the processes work, and yet
Yep.
this is the how do we create a new category? And
Right.
that's interesting.
So, what advice do you have for fellow business owners who are trying to do it on their own? Because you've listed off lots and lots of people who've helped you along the way. What advice would you have for people who are trying to weed through it all on their own?
I mean, a couple things come to mind. First, you're never going to do it on your own, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger is famous
Yeah.
for they would, oh, you're a self-made man, and I'm not self-made. because he, along the journey, talked to all the people that picked him up, all the people that challenged him. And often with Schwarzenegger, it was his fellow competitors that picked him up. Right? It was the people that his competition are the ones that made him better, because he understood that they're going to make him better and he's going to make them better because they're going to work together. And there's famous stories about that. So first thing, there's no fucking matter or a martyr badge out there. Oh, I had to figure it out on my own. No, that's stupid. Right. And I used to live the martyr badge. Look at all the things that I've done because I worked harder, not smarter. That's stupid. So let's dispel the first thing. You're not going to do it on your own and be successful. There's a old African proverb, right? You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go with others. And so first and foremost, find your tribe, right? So find your tribe. Second bit of advice, and the same bit of advice I give to everybody, it's 3 steps. 3 steps to solution to life. It's 12 simple words. Do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, and show the fuck up. If you got to bleep those out, by all means. The point is, did you or did you not do the thing? Whatever the thing is, I convinced myself for years I wasn't capable. And as soon as I went out and did the thing, I was. And then once I had the confidence to stand on my own 2 feet and tell the world, I did. And once I showed up, or once I did the thing, once I told the world about it, now I can have the confidence to show up as who I am, authentically myself, and the world will respond to the way it will. There are some people in this world that will never understand me. Let me give them enough data to make that decision quick, fast, in a hurry. Right? There are the sometimes, the always, and the never people in this world. The always people will support you no matter what. That's your mom, right? Great barometer if you want to get buy-in and be always right. You know, right? There's the never people that will never understand you, never care, never get you. Don't use your time on those that will never understand. The goal is to win with the sometimes people. Sometimes they'll understand. Sometimes they'll get you. Sometimes they'll buy from you. What do you need to do so that they join you along the way? And so that's the opportunity. We had an opportunity this morning. We were at the same networking event. I'm in a networking room with 45 people, 45 people, whatever it is. I get up and do my 30 seconds at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm boisterous. I'm loud. I'm commanding within the room. There are people in that room that don't like me. And you know what? That's fine. I don't need, want, or desire them to like me. I want to speak to the people that have that ember burning inside of them, that want more, and show them that more is available. You are capable of more. All you need to do is show up.
Yep. Excellent advice. So it sounds like you've also been blessed with some incredible people who've helped you along your journey. What would you like to say to them?
Thank you. Every Monday I do a live show at 3:30 Central Standard Time called Experience Andy Weins Live. And I start every show with a moment of gratitude. I practice gratitude by looking at the people to the left and the right, the things I've been blessed with, and how they got me here. And so the first thing is a short moment of gratitude. Thank you. And continue to do what you're doing. Continue to push me. I haven't made it yet. I'm not even close to where I want to be. And I will not get there without the constant support from the network, the tribe of people that push me to where I want to go. I have a clear idea of where I want to go. I need them to push me in that direction. Pull me if you're already there. Be the beacon if you know the way, right? And allow me to get there with you along my side.
Fabulous. Andy, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait for everybody to see our interview together.
Excellent. Appreciate having me.